Hey, nice to meet you, Mike. So, National Guard troops, they got thrown in the parking deck. They were in the parking garage.
Yep.
What are your thoughts?
You know, I like the National Guard.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of the troops, but it's just, I don't think it was necessary, you know?
Which part? Putting them there or them being
Putting
there?
them there, yeah, being there. I think they got better places to be, you know?
Okay.
There are places around the country where they could be. They don't have to be here, you know?
Okay.
No point.
Thoughts on Trump offering up his hotel for them in D.C.?
I mean, it's nice, you know? It's a nice thing to do. I don't know if it's practical, you know?
Okay.
I'm sure they got places in D.C. already where they could stay. But it's a nice gesture, you know?
Okay. How about Representative Marjorie Greene? She just said she's going to file...
Absolutely stupid.
It's stupid?
I mean, it's dumb.
Do you know what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what are we talking about?
Yeah, articles of impeachment.
For?
Joe Biden. Yeah, it's
Correct.
stupid.
Okay.
It's just as stupid as when they did it for Donald Trump. It's not smart.
Do you think that's where we go now? We just impeach
it's just a political tool now.
everybody for anything?
Yeah, it's going to be the next president, and the next president, and the next president. Now they're all going to get impeached, and it has no value anymore.
So you think it's probably slowing down progress? And...
Oh, 100%. It's going to take weeks for those articles to go through, and it's going to block tons of bills that could have gone through. So, I mean, it's just stupid. It just causes gridlock.
Yeah, you sound like a pretty smart guy. You knew exactly what I was talking about before it came out. What would you like to talk about? Anything else on your mind?
Well,
go ahead. Your time.
I like to ask people to, come out. I'm president of the Rowan Republicans, so
okay,
it'd be nice if people would come out.
Okay.
Well, I guess we don't have meetings on campus anymore, but a nice, if people could come to the club.
Do you think the Republican Party is in jeopardy? Is in danger? Is it weakened?
Well, I think this is something that happens every time a Republican loses, right? This happened back during Bush. There were a ton of articles that came out that said Bush destroyed the Republican Party. We all know that's not true, right? Didn't happen. I don't think it destroyed the Republican Party either. We got a two-party system here, and usually it's real hard to get those parties out of where they are already. Might put us down for like 2 years.
You think there's enough juice to push a third party, a Trump party?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No. The largest third party is, I think, the Libertarians. Either the Libertarians or the Green Party. They never get anything done. Basically the Libertarians' only job is to lose Republicans' elections. The Green Party's only job is to lose Democrats' elections. They never really get anything done. And the problem is, to do that, you would need a completely new third party that also had so much popular support that it could take over one of the other parties, basically. And it's just not going to happen.
So where's the country go from here? You have any predictions?
I mean, it all depends, I guess, on how long Joe Biden's in office,
What do you think?
I think he's maybe got 2-3 years in him.
Okay.
A lot of people think a lot less than that, 6 months, a year, that they're going to probably put Kamala in instead of him. I don't think, I think he's got like 2 or 3 years left in him, but he's not really, he's a moderate, most of the time. He shouldn't do anything, he canceled the Keystone Pipeline, whatever. A lot of people didn't like it. That's not a big thing. I think there's a lot of other stuff, like packing the Supreme Court. That would be a really big thing, and I don't think he's going to do it, because I just don't think that's the kind of politician he is. But if Kamala was in office, it's a different story,
Okay.
And of course, I don't think Biden's going to run in 24.
Okay.
It's just not going to happen. I don't want to say he's too old, because obviously there's been a lot of older people that run for office in the United States, but I just don't think he's got it in him,
Okay.
2 years under Obama, and then another year being the president, it just takes a lot out of you. You saw it with Obama, with Clinton, with not as much with Trump, but still. You see how the office ages people, right? Obama went in, he looked pretty young.
Do you think it aged Trump? Do you think it aged him?
Well, he's got so much makeup on, can you really tell? But Obama went in, he came out 8 years later, he had gray hair.
Interesting. Well, thanks. Anything else?
No, not really.
All right, thanks for taking the time and talking to us. Nigel Hill, where are you from?
North New Jersey.
Okay. So the whole concept of the show is, instead of the media telling you what to think, we want to hear from you. So is there anything that's bothering you, anything on your mind that you want to get off and you want to talk about?
what specifically though? Because it's so broad to just say like, what am I thinking about?
Politics is easy, right? So National Guard troops, they got sent to a garage.
Okay, we can talk about that. We can talk about the Capitol being stormed.
Okay.
Well, I know for a fact that all kinds of law enforcement knew that there was going to be some kind of rally coming towards the Capitol.
Okay.
Where was the preparations at? Like they had the same preparations for any other kind of rally or protest or whatever you want to call it. I know for the Black Lives Matter protest, they had the National Guard front and tall, ready, guns drawn. And when they knew that a rally was coming that was in support of Trump, and that would be mostly white people, there wasn't the same preparations taken.
So do you think basically the fix was in and the cops were letting the violence happen?
I'm not going to say any law enforcement was letting anything happen, because I just don't want to think that they were just saying, here, you can go inside the Capitol and breach stuff. I think that there wasn't proper preparation taken because there's a clear bias in America towards the black and brown people. It's not against anybody that's white, but at the end of the day, there's a privilege that it's clear, and I think I'm happy that it was on national TV for everyone to see.
Okay. All right. So you're basically saying that there was different treatment all summer long with all the riots and the looting.
There was a completely different cadence that they took towards Black Lives Matter protesters versus the people that terrorized the Capitol.
Interesting.
The cadence that they took towards Black Lives Matter was, we're going to make sure that you know that we're here. You're not going to do anything that we don't want you to do. Simple as that.
Do you think when they did that, there was no violence? I mean,
No, 1,000%. There was definitely violence, but you're talking about violence because people are getting killed. You're talking about people that are storming the Capitol because they don't believe that votes are correct. Murders, votes. Murders, votes. Violence for murders, violence for votes.
Is the violence for either acceptable?
No. Violence in the country should not be acceptable. So but I believe that the cadence towards any kind of violence should be exactly the same. No one's saying they're being violent because of murders. Let them go. Let them be violent.
So both riots were completely wrong.
1,000%.
Okay.
You should not. We're adults.
Right.
You don't go and punch somebody in the face and burn a building because you're angry. You get stuff done. You go to legislators. You go and talk to your councilman. You go and you speak to someone on how you can do it. And then when that doesn't work, we have war for a reason. We have a United States Army for a reason, because sometimes words do not solve all issues. If that was the case, we wouldn't have any army, we wouldn't have Air Force, we wouldn't have any kind of bombs.
So is there anything that would justify the violence in the streets?
I mean, people are angry, man. People are angry, and while I'm able to articulate myself and speak, everybody isn't. Everybody comes from different backgrounds.
Do they get a pass? A
pass?
Do they get a pass because they're not as articulate as you?
I don't think that anybody should get a pass, but I do think that there needs to be some kind of reparations or some kind of justice done for people that are killed in the streets by people that are supposed to uphold the law. It's not fair, and it's kind of like, what can I do when the person that's killing me is a law enforcer, and the person that writes the laws were laws for people that owned slaves? The Constitution was around when slavery was around.
Is there any situation where law enforcement can have a justified use of force, can have it justified?
1,000%. If you were an officer right here, or I was an officer, and you approached me with a lethal weapon, why wouldn't I use my lethal gun and contain the situation?
Right.
I think that it just needs to be equal. If you're going to kill the black man for reaching, kill the white man for reaching, kill the Indian man for reaching, kill the Hispanic man for reaching. It's not about...
So it's funny because according to FBI statistics, the amount of black men that are killed by law enforcement is significantly lower than the amount of white men killed by law enforcement.
Okay.
And it's also a terrifying stat that there are more officers killed by black men than white men.
Do you think that in America that white and black men are equal in the eyes of the law? Yes or no?
Well, I'm asking the questions, but
okay. I just wanted to pick your brain a little bit.
In my opinion, I think the Constitution's clear, and I think the case law is clear, and the amendments are clear, which is we are all equal.
Was there equality when the Constitution was written by our founding fathers, or no? Was there equality between white and black people while that bill was being written?
No, there wasn't.
There was not, right?
There wasn't. No.
What was going on around that time period when those founding fathers had their nice little ink that they dipped in and wrote on that nice piece of paper? What was going on?
Well, a lot was. They were starting a new country, but
Right.
you could be a little more specific.
What was going on
If you-
between
if
the
you-
racial tension?
If you want me to say there were slaves at the time, there absolutely was
There were
slaves.
slaves at the time that bill, that the Constitution, that the Bill of Rights was written.
Do we throw it all out because there were slaves?
I think that there needs to be some kind of change to it, because at the time that thing was being written,
Well, we had
there
some,
were people getting whipped to work for free.
That's true. Completely
It's a
true.
different time. Everyone's free right now. No one's having indentured servitude, meaning that they're working for free or working for such a low dollar. We have a minimum wage now.
Right.
There's a different time, which means there needs to be a different set of rules.
So, we have the amendments that freed the slaves. Then we
Right.
had the amendments that gave them equal rights.
Right.
And in fact, women came even after that.
Wait. Let's talk about the amendment specifically.
Okay.
While the amendments freed slaves, do you think that all slaves were free? Or did some people in the rural South and some people in the North say, okay, even though this says that, I'm still going to do what I want?
Well,
We know that to be true because it's in textbooks.
People still don't follow laws.
Exactly. That's
it's like-
exactly what I'm saying.
Right, so,
And being that those
that's
amendments,
probably human nature.
Right.
People don't listen. you know?
but listening to don't jaywalk versus listening to not have slaves are just polar
Well,
opposites. You get what I'm saying?
I think that's where enforcement comes in. I mean, we had a war. We had a civil war to enforce.
I just think that there needs to be a different set of rules for the people that are during this time that are being oppressed. Because if we're going to sit here and saying that black and brown people aren't being oppressed in America more than white people, then we're just clearly blind. That doesn't go to say white people don't have oppression, because at the end of the day, anybody can walk down the street, get pushed, and then they go to an officer, and the officer say, what do you want me to do? Someone can deem that as oppression.
Sure.
All I think anybody is saying with Black Lives Matter or rioting for justice is saying that we have more oppression than these other people, and we're not getting treated fairly because of it. That's my opinion on it, and I love that cameras were around to see the Capitol get invaded, to see officers get said, back up, you're not going to tell us what to do, because we all know for a fact if those people were of a different skin pigment, they'd be dead. They'd be dead. They'd be dead. People died on the streets for much less. For much less. They rioted for the Newark riots. I don't know if you guys did any research on that, but that's back in the day. The Newark riots, cops were shooting in crowds. There were no rubber bullets, and the crowd was predominantly black. Well, what other riots? We had Chicago riots, cops firing into the crowd, predominantly black crowd.
You think the action is race based and it's not?
1000%. The action and the cadence that they take towards white people. I'm sorry if I have my mask on. I just can't properly
Yeah, I got you.
hear my own self. The cadence that they take towards black people and white people in law enforcement when someone is breaking the rules is completely different. Why didn't the National Guard stand tall when they knew that a Trump rally was coming? When they knew that Trump is a person who has a way with words.
Well, the National Guard also didn't get there till a day later.
Why didn't they? For the Black Lives Matter, they were there that night. They were there at midnight before it even happened.
Which location? Because there was many cities that were essentially burned and looted all summer long.
I don't know all the logistics on the cities and all the specifications. All I do know is that the National Guard and law enforcement in general has a heavier presence at black protests than at predominantly white protests. There were not a lot of black and brown people in that crowd at the pro-Trump coup to take over the Capitol.
Okay.
There was not. And that's not saying that these people are any different than the people that were violent, looting the streets for their cause. They think that they had a cause. They are right to have an opinion because we live in America and it's free. But you're not right to not get the same punishment and the same treatment and the same cadence, as I said earlier, as other people. You should have had National Guard standing tall, beating the shit out of them, just as they beat the shit out of the Black Lives Matter protesters. That's all I think.
Wow. Well, I guess would I be correct in saying that what you're describing, that would be the quote-unquote systemic racism? Because
that's not even a question. If someone says that there's not systemic racism in America, they're blind.
Is that what you're describing? Would that be the systemic?
I'm describing systemic racism. I'm describing a racism within law enforcement. I'm describing a racism within the Constitution. Because at the end of the day,
Are the black cops racist to black people?
they can be. I don't know. I mean, I haven't ran into a particular black officer that's racist towards me. I mean, I wouldn't know, because at the end of the day, racism is in the mind. Someone can keep their mouth closed and be as racist as they want to be. You can be racist towards me and I would never know. Because if you don't voice it, or your actions don't voice it, I would never know. The problem comes when the racism is shown within your job. When you go to a traffic stop and you escalate a situation more than it needs to be because of a person's color. That's where the problem lies. The problem doesn't lie in racism. You can't change somebody from being racist. There are people that were born racist. Not meaning that they came out of the womb racist, but their father was racist. Their mother is racist. They then give their child these ideologies. That's just like, hypothetically speaking, you're my child, right? You're not. You're obviously older than me, right? And you come out of the womb and I tell you, son, don't hang with Jimmy. You want to know why you don't hang with Jimmy? Because you're better than Jimmy. And you want to know why you're better than Jimmy? Because you don't have the same skin pigment as him. How is anybody going to change that person's mind when that kid was raised like that and now he's 35? Now he's 35 and now he's a law enforcement agent and now he's a cop. I can't make him not racist, but what we need to do is make sure that his racist thoughts and his racist ideology that he was raised with does not come in his work. Does not lead to people dying. Does not lead to systemic racism. It's going to be, if people think that systemic racism is going to be done in 5 years, they're foolish.
Is it ever going to be done?
We can only pray.
Okay.
We can only pray, because we want an equal America. Me as a black man, I can't sit here and tell you that, we can burn this entire place down and people are still going to go home and be racist, and those people are still going to have their jobs. It's the people that are in hierarchy that have this like power, and when they're racist, that power is even more extreme.
Well,
because they can act on it.
All right. Well, thanks for your time.
I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, man. All right. Take care.
Thank you. You guys be safe. Awesome.
Right now, there's articles of impeachment that are going to be filed on Monday by Representative Marjorie Greene against President Joe Biden. Already, what are your thoughts?
I don't follow politics that much. Sorry.
Okay. Well, do you think that's where the country's going, where we don't particularly like a president, and the guy's been in 2 days, and we're already going to file articles of impeachment? Is that crazy? He just started.
Yeah, but wasn't there things that happened with his son that still haven't been resolved?
That's exactly what the Representative Marjorie Greene wants to do. Is she says, hey, listen, this guy, he strong-armed the country of Ukraine. He got a prosecutor fired just for investigating corruption in his own country. So you think there's merit there? Or do you think there isn't?
I think we have to look into it more, I guess, because I don't think it should just be like pardon or just like, oh, it never happened sort of thing. I still think that you have to hold people accountable for what they do, because your actions have consequences. You can't get away with everything.
Context. Last night I met a bunch of new girls, very good friends now, and one of them was talking about we were talking about our birth control, because that's what every girl needs at this point in their lives. So, and she was like, yeah, I wanted to get a IUD, which is actually what I have.
Right.
And she was like, but my doctors kept telling me, are you sure? You're too young. And like, I'm on like Angry Liberal TikTok as well, and I hear so many stories of like other young women just like being told they can't get their birth control, can't get a breast reduction. Same thing with even like abortion. It's like women aren't like in charge of their bodies in our country, and I think that's like it's 2021. Like, what is this? Like, why don't women have control over themselves and their own bodies in this time and age? It's like that just like annoyed me. So that's my
Well, I'm assuming that the doctor wasn't saying, in the context of your conversation, the doctor isn't saying she's physically too young. I'm assuming It was more than that.
I mean, she didn't go into so much detail because we were in public and everything.
Okay.
And it is kind of a personal thing to talk about. So, but she was like, yeah, they just kept asking me and being like, are you sure? Are you sure? And she's like, and she's 18, 19. We don't want children at this point in our lives. And it was just like, it's just mind-boggling to me, because it's like, why do we have to wait? Like, we have to go in for the consultation, wait 2 months to even get the birth control. Like, I did that over the summer, and even then, it's not a fun process to do. And I just think that our country needs to make it a little more accessible and like just kinder to the women involved. I don't know. It's just kind of
How does
frustrating.
how does the government do that? Make it kinder to the women involved? How would that happen?
I would say, because it's dealing with sexual health it makes the patient very vulnerable. So it's when they keep asking us like, are you sure? Like don't you want children? Don't you want this? It's like, I'm not, like, can't you just let me make my decision? Like, why do you have to put yourself into my reproductive health? It's my body. It's my choice what I want to do with it.
Do you think a fetus is part of the woman's body?
Well, it's not alive. I'm 100% for abortion if it's like, my mother actually had an abortion when she was 16 because her birth control failed, and I would never wish a dangerous pregnancy, an unwanted pregnancy on anyone. So I'm absolutely pro-abortion. Is a fetus part of the woman's body? If she wants it there, then yeah. If not, then it's just something in there.
So, it's the age-old question. When does life and rights begin? We know currently the law of the land is
Third trimester.
It's actually once the fetus leaves the woman's body. Is that the place where we're at, or is that the place where you're at? That's when it becomes a viable life with rights, is once it leaves the body.
I would say probably third trimester. I know, and that's when usually abortions
And why?
are frowned upon.
And why would it be the third trimester?
I mean,
Is it because then it becomes more viable and more likely to live without the mother? But why pick that point in time, third trimester?
I don't want to say anything because I really did not research this topic as much as I should. So, okay. So if I got pregnant and I somehow waited to the third trimester and I decided to get an abortion, I think I should be able to, because it is my body. So
the challenging part from my perspective is my body it has different DNA, the fetus in you, and I'm wondering how in any other circumstance that's not a different entity.
I mean, it is a different entity. I mean, I don't totally understand your question. Your statement.
So the question is, my body, my choice, right? And you said it was at the third trimester, and then you just said that you could even justify an abortion in the third trimester, and the basis was that it's your body, or
yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's not alive yet until it's out, so I do change my answer.
Okay.
So the woman has control over her own body until it leaves the body, and then at that point usually the woman would have wanted it. So usually.
How can you make the argument that the fetus is part of a body with different DNA? Is it just the fact that it is inside of her, that she has control over what happens to it?
I mean, she's the one who has to carry it for 9 months, and her life goes on pause. You could even argue goes on pause if she decides to keep it for kind of 18 years after, at least. So, yeah, before it's born, it's her body. It's within her body.
So
it's not a baby. It's a fetus.
So it sounds like that quality of life that can outweigh opportunity of life. Quality of life from the woman, her choice outweighs the opportunity of life for the fetus.
I mean, it's not alive yet.
And you draw the line at life once it leaves the woman's body.
Yes, because then at that point then it's not in her body anymore. Then it's.
I would say that just one thing that's probably going to pop up in the future is as medical advances happen, the chance for that fetus to be viable outside of the mother is going earlier and earlier. We're setting new records all the time with premature babies. So I think that it's something that perhaps maybe you'll have to consider, everyone will have to consider, everyone, society, all these potential mothers will have to consider is, as technology advances, what happens if we hit a point where we don't even need the mother? If you have a fertilized egg and you can remove it and you have a viable human.
Does that still leave the woman and perhaps the other partner to raise that child? I mean, if they don't... Okay, my case is if it was an unwanted pregnancy. If they want the baby, perfect. That's wonderful for everyone involved. My issue with it is that when people don't want to carry a child, do not want to raise a child, do not want to be in charge of another being, they should absolutely be entitled to a professionally done surgical abortion. That's safe, that is like medically monitored. They should have that right.
Is there any consideration with all the no fault safe haven, drop the baby off at the fire department, whatever, no charges? Does that come into any question, any consideration? Because there are...
That's such an extreme. Like no person, much less a woman, wants to do that to her child. I know what happens, that a woman might carry the child and then decide they don't want it afterwards. I can't condone the behavior of just dropping off a child like a dog in a box.
But it is okay to prevent its life.
Yes, it's not alive yet. It's not its own being. If it falls on the response, if I had a baby right now, I wouldn't know what to do with it. I'm not in the right head state to raise a child. I'm just not. It would be bad for my mental health. I would probably traumatize my child.
Do you think all parents?
I can't speak for all parents.
No, do you think all parents are in the right mental state to raise children?
No. We don't. Some people get pregnant. That's what happens. And then if they decide to have it, maybe they couldn't even afford an abortion. Maybe they just couldn't get out of the situation. Perhaps it's a toxic relationship. The other partner is holding them into it. Shit happens. People are flawed. It happens. Some people shouldn't be parents.
Oh,
but they still
of course,
are.
Without a doubt, that's a given, right? But I guess the challenge is some people are of the mindset that our lives and our ease and the quality of life that we want doesn't trump taking the opportunity away from another being. That's what some people's positions are. In other words,
when referencing being without context, that could mean another, like, whole person, as you are a being and as I am a being.
Yeah.
And in this case, in this context, you're referencing the being as an unborn fetus.
Right.
Because this context is talking about an unborn fetus, and you're calling that a being in its own independent state, I have to disagree with you.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's and you know what? You are not alone. That is a very popular opinion. and currently, that is the law of the land.
And I hope it stays that way.
So yeah, funny thing. I'd have to ask you. Have you ever listened to Roe v. Wade? Have you ever listened to that oral argument?
I have not. I said I didn't do any research.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
So I don't want to
I'm not gonna gotcha. I'm not gonna gotcha questions. I'll just leave you with this. I think it's worth listening to. It's very short. Maybe, full length, maybe 40 minutes. Mm-hmm. But it's very interesting. And from my memory, I didn't hear anything about it being my body. And I'm not an attorney. I'm not a constitutional scholar or anything like that. But that didn't seem to be a part of the argument. It was more about the ambiguity of the Texas law. So my point is, I think that for something that's something we have such strong feelings, it's worth going to the source.
No, I completely agree with you.
Yeah. What's your name?
I'm Grace.
Grace, I'm Mark, and thank you for being on the show, Grace. You're a great sport.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You as well. Take
All right,
care.
thanks. I'm Mark Naughton. Who am I here with?
Dylan McCall.
Dylan and
Dante.
Guys, so the unique thing about this show is, instead of the media telling you how to think, we like you guys to talk about anything you want to talk about, and we'll send this back the other way. What do you say?
Hell yeah.
Okay. Gentlemen, what's on your minds? What do you want to talk about?
Let's see. Where do you want to start?
I don't know, it's cold out.
It's cold out.
It's cold out.
Okay, it's pretty dead around here. We,
Yeah, it's
we come to the campus, there's no people. What's
Yeah.
going on with that?
I don't know. I mean,
Coronavirus.
yeah, Corona season.
Let's talk about it. What do you guys, no mask, nothing. You're out here on the skateboards. We've been watching you doing great tricks. Are you scared? What's the deal?
Yeah, I'm scared.
You scared?
Yeah.
You seem scared.
I'm horrified.
You look horrified. So no, really, gentlemen, what's up? What's going on?
Skating, trying to do something.
Yeah, I just fell.
Yeah,
I don't know.
trying to do something that you're allowed to do while the Corona season's upon us.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's talk about that.
Really got the cogs turning.
You think your freedoms are being tightened up a little bit? It's been about a year.
Yeah,
Are we getting used to these restrictions or what?
a little bit, I guess. Got no choice, I suppose.
I'm
you
feeling
know?
freer than I've ever.
You think it's going to open up soon?
Hopefully by like the summer.
Okay. How
hope
about
so.
vaccines? You going to get that needle?
I'm not getting it. I mean,
Wait,
I don't
you guys
know.
film a line for me? Film a trick? That's what's on my mind.
No, go do the tricks. This guy wants to talk.
Ooh, hell yeah.
So talk to me. Now we can get down to business. What's up?
What about the vaccines or?
Anything you want to talk about?
I don't know. I mean,
Have you gotten the virus? You know anybody got the virus?
nah, I got tested a bunch, but because I thought I was exposed to it, but I haven't got it yet, so thankfully. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not really too worried about it. I'm fairly healthy, so.
You think it's a big charade? Think people are taking advantage of it?
Maybe some companies for sure. Maybe like medical or like vaccine companies, who knows?
Okay.
But I don't know. I'm not too worried about it. I don't think many people should be worried about it, unless you're living with like older people, stuff like that. I don't know. I think it could be worse, right?
Well, it is pretty bad. They talk about 400,000 dead in the United States up until now.
Yeah.
Funny thing, every day they said that body count was Trump's responsibility.
Yeah.
Do we say the same thing now that we have a new president? Is every day his body count his? Does he own it?
I don't know. I don't think so. Just because you can only do so much. It's either like you shut it down or you let it open. I don't know.
If God forbid we had to do this all over again, right? We had a different virus, a different strain, something like that.
Yeah.
Did we learn anything this time, or are we going to just do the same exact thing?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. I'm definitely not educated enough to make a good, valid argument against it, but I don't know. I think it should be up to the people to decide. I guess some sort of vote.
Do you think the people can manage themselves with staying healthy, or do you think we need government to tell us how to
No,
be?
I think it's all on the people. You don't need government to tell you to take vitamin D and zinc and stuff. You know what I mean? I don't know.
You think the government was a little restrictive? And still,
I think so. I think so for sure. Because then you get a bunch of the population on unemployment, and then they're they're just like have to. I don't know. They gotta I guess count on the government for more money coming in if they're dependent on it, and they make it dependent on it. It's kind of like it's more control, I guess, for the government, I suppose.
last time I checked, I think we're down 27 trillion. That's a number I can't even fathom.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Very scary. I don't know.
We're gonna be good, or
I mean, hopefully good.
or the bill collectors coming?
I mean, bill collectors. That would take all humanity to be able to collect all that money. So I seen something. It was like there's so much debt, especially from like the unemployment rates and stuff like that. That there's like not enough money combined in the world or whatever to cover it. So it's like, what the hell are you gonna do?
That's a great question.
Crazy.
Anything
scary.
Anything else, man?
Nah, I don't know. Just keep going on with this. This is dope. I guess just keep healthy. You know what I mean?
Thanks, man. Thanks for
Yeah.
being on the show.
Yeah, no problem.
Go for your dreams. If you want to do anything you want to do in life, please just stick to it. If there's anything that you're doubting yourself on, just stick to it. It's a long road. Everybody's path is different. It may take you longer. It's about the journey. You want to go through your experiences and learn through each one. The disappointment, a missed opportunity, just look on to the next one.
That's a great way to end the segment. So I'm Mark Naughton, and thanks.
No problem.
All right. Yeah.
Thank you, man.